Welcome back to my channel. I'm Anshul from Quantshala. So this is going to be the part 3 of the solution series for mock test 2, where we discuss question 19 to question 25 in detail by multiple methods. There are some very interesting questions in this part, so definitely make sure to watch each solution carefully and also solve along with the video. Okay, if you haven't watched part 1 or part 2 and haven't attempted the mock test, I've provided the links of all the parts in the description below and also the mock test. So do attempt the mock test first and then start from the part 1 so that you are able to derive the maximum benefit out of it. So let's get started with the solutions. Okay, so let's come to question number 19. In a triangle ABC, AD is drawn such that D is a point on BC and BD equal to AC. So let's draw the diagram here. Okay. So you're saying this triangle ABC, D is a point on BC such that BD equal to AC. Okay. BD is equal to AC. DAB is 65 degrees, that means this is 65. ACB is 50 degrees. ACB, this is 50 degrees. Okay. Find the value of angle DAC. Okay, this we are supposed to find. Let's take that as x. Okay, first of all, let's try to label all the angles that we can. This is 65 plus x, this is 50. Total becomes 115 plus x. So by angle sum property, this will be 65 minus x. By simple exterior angle property, this will be 50 plus x. And angle sum, this will be 130 minus x. Okay. Now we've labeled all the things here. Now the first thing that comes to my mind in these two triangles is basically we know that in these two separate triangles, one of the sides is equal and I have to find the angle. So there is a sine rule which is related between sides and angles, and I can relate these two triangles also because two sides are common in these triangles. One is this BD equal to AC and the other is AD, which is coincidentally common. Okay. So let's try to apply sine rule to these sides. So in the first triangle, what do we get? In triangle ABD, you get sine 65 minus x divided by AD is equal to sine 65 divided by BD. In triangle ADC, what do you have? Sine 50 divided by AD. This is 50 is equal to sine 130 minus x divided by AC, or AC can also be written as BD. Now if you use both these equations and equate the ratio AD by BD, what do you get? You get sine 65 minus x divided by sine 65 is equal to sine 50 divided by sine 130 minus x. We all know that sine theta is also equal to sine 180 minus theta. So you already have numbers like 65, 65, 50 here. Then why to have such a big number 130? So subtract this from 180, what do you get? 180 minus this becomes 50 plus x. So you can write this as sine 50 plus x. Okay. Looks like we are out of space here. So we'll go to the next page taking this. So we have this. Now there are two methods to solve it. One is a very long way. Another is slightly smarter way. See, the difference between these two, 65 minus x and 65 is x. Okay, the numerator is x less, the angle in numerator is x less than the denominator. Similarly, here the numerator angle is x less than the denominator angle. Now ideally this will happen when all of the numerator angles are equal and the denominator's angle will equal in most cases. So what we will do is we will try to use the options. Okay. So let's see if 15 degrees satisfies the answer. Or in fact, without options also, if you try to equate 65 minus x to 50, you say 65 minus x is 50. And then you say 65 is 50 plus x. Obviously because x can go to the other side. So 65 is 50 plus x. So x comes out as 15 and it satisfies this equation. So you don't need to solve this equation fully. You can, it is not out of scope. You can, but it will take a lot of time. But here the smart thing is to realize that this difference is common here, x and x. And if you equate the numerator angles, the denominator angles automatically become equal. obviously, because the differences are common. So you get x as 15. X is an option 15, so the answer will be 15 in this case simply. Just to verify, what you will do, you will again put 15 here. What does it become? Sine 50 by sine 65. And here the RHS, what does it become? It becomes sine 50 by sine 65. Clearly these are matching. Okay, so you can mark the answer as 15. If let's say there was another option here such that which said A and C or A or C, then you could not have marked A with confidence, because here there are single options. We can say that okay, 15 satisfy kar raha, so 15 is the answer. But if there was something else also, then पूरा calculate करना पड़ता. So this is how you solve complex trigonometric equations simply. Okay, so coming to question number 20. This is a very straightforward question on log and progression series. So very basic property to be used here. For example, this one is, if I write it clearly, this is log 7 raised to power 1 by 5 x. And you know that this property of log, that if the index has some power x, if x has some power, it goes here. If the base has some power, it goes here as 1 by the power. Okay, so this entire thing will become 1 divided by 1 by 5 log 7x. Okay. So this essentially becomes log 5 times log 7x. Okay. This will become 9 times log 7x, this will become 13 times log 7x, and so on. So the entire equation, what does it become for you? You take log 7x common, then you have 1 plus the coefficients, I'm adding them up here, 1 plus 5 till 33. Okay, is equal to 1071. Now this is just simple arithmetic progression question. So how many terms are here? A plus n minus 1d, simple. 1 plus n minus 1 into 4 is equal to 33. Okay, so n you get as 9. Okay, so 9 terms total. What is the sum of an AP? N by 2 into A plus L, first term plus last term, 1 plus 33. Okay, this comes out as 34 divided by 217 multiplied by 9 comes out as 153. So your equation gets reduced to now becomes log 7x multiplied by 153 is equal to 1071. This implies log 7x is equal to 1071 divided by 153 is 7. Okay, and this means that x comes out as 7 raised to power 7. So they're asking us find the remainder obtained when x is divided by 6. When x is divided by 6, first and foremost you can see the base itself, 7 here, is greater than 6. So you divide this by 6 first to get the remainder, you get 1. So the remainder with 6 will be 1 raised to power 7, which comes out as 1. Okay, now this is a good question on PNC. In a locality there are 10 houses in a row. On a particular night a thief planned to steal from 3 houses of the locality. Okay, there are 10 houses, but he wants to steal from 3 only. In how many ways can he plan such that no 2 houses are next to each other? Okay, so these are 10 houses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's put these 2. So there are 10 houses. He can choose 3 in this manner, either these 3, or he can choose 1, 2 and then 3 here, or any scenario where no 2 houses are next to each other. Okay, so how would you do this? Either you can make a lot of cases that first house chosen you have 10 C1 options. For second house now you have to make cases that was the first house in the corner or was it in the middle. Then for third house you'll have to make multiple such cases. So that will explode the problem basically. The problem will become very big. One other way here is that you can think the other way around. 7 houses are there which are safe, which are not getting stolen from. So mark those 7 houses here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So these are the 7 houses which are safe. Now there have to be 3 houses from which stuff was stolen, and those were not next to each other. So in between any 2 houses there can be maximum 1 house from which the things were stolen. Okay, if there are 2 houses here, then the condition gets violated that no 2 houses are next to each other. Okay, So now there are 8 slots, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last one 8. If you place the 3 houses in which the stealing is going to happen in any of those 8 places, all of this is going to get satisfied, okay? Total you will have 10 houses in that case. Let's say you choose this one, and this one, okay? So that means there were 10 houses. This was the second house, this was the third house, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th. So these were the 10 houses, and the thief stole from which houses? 2, 5, and 7. Okay, this is one such scenario. So you have to choose 3 out of these 8 arrows. That means you have to choose 3 houses in which the thief is going to steal from these 8 positions. So answer is going to be 8C3. 8C3 is simply 8 into 7 into 6 divided by 3 factorial, which is 6. 6 gets cancelled. 8 multiplied by 7, you get 56. You also solve such questions when you place, there are 10 boys, 10 girls have to stand in an assembly line, but no 2 of them can stand next to each other. That also you solve in the same way, right? You place 10 boys first, and then you say, okay, 10 girls can be placed here in 11 positions. So this is very similar to that question. Okay, so this game is on Ludo. Most of you will have played Ludo. In a popular Indian game played with a single dice, each player in her turn gets to roll the dice. If the dice shows 6, the player gets another roll in the same turn, and this keeps repeating. So until while the person is getting 6, the turn he keeps on getting more rolls. If a person gets 6 3 times in a row, the turn is forfeited and she is given a score of 0. Okay, so if she gets 1, 2, 3, the turn ends there. If she gets 6, she gets another chance where she can get 1, 2, 3, and the turn ends 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if after 6 she gets another 6, then she gets another turn. So get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the turn ends here. And if she gets 6, 6, 6, the turn ends here also, and the score given is 0. In these cases, the score given is the total of the values that she attained. For example, in this case will be 6 plus 3, 9. In this case will be 6 plus 6 plus 3, which is 15. Okay. What is the probability of getting a non-zero even score in a single term? That means even and non-zero. What can be even non-zero scores? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. You can't go beyond 18 because there are maximum 3 turns. Okay. So maximum 3 turns, 6 in each turn, maximum 18, and minimum can be 3. Or minimum can be 2. Okay. Minimum can be 2. If in the first turn you play 2, you will get a score of 2. Now 6, 12 and 18 are not possible. Why? 18 clearly is not possible because 6, 6, 6 result into a chance forfeit. 12 is also not possible because once you get 6 after a 6, you have to play another turn and you will get at least 1 there. So either you get something like this where your maximum score is 11, or here where your minimum score is 13 if you get 2 6s. Okay, so 12 is also not possible. Similarly, 6 is also not possible. Now what is the probability of 2 and 4? It is 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6. Okay, 2, basically getting 2 in the first turn is just 1 by 6. Then getting 8 probabilities, 6 plus 2, 1 by 6 for 6 and 1 by 2 for the 2 in second term. So 1 by 6 into 1 by 6 and then into 2, because 1 for 8, 1 for 10. 10 also you will get the same way, first 6 and then 4. Similarly 14, how will you get? 6, 6, 2, this is the only way to get 14. So 1 by 6 into 1 by 6 into 1 by 6. And for 6, 16 also you will have similar sum, so you multiply this by 2. Okay, adding all of these up, what do you get? You get 2 by 6. Let's bring all the denominators into 216 because large denominator is 216. So this is 2 by 6, or you can write it as 72 by 216 plus this is 12 by 216. This is 2 by 216. Adding all these, what do you get? 72 plus 12, 84 plus 2, 86. 86 by 216 or 43 by 108, and the answer is C. Okay. Moving to next question. This is an interesting question. A, B, C and D are roots of the equation this. If fx is equal to this, find the value of fa plus fb plus fc plus fd. Okay. So we find the roots of this equation and put those roots into this expression and add all the values for all the roots for this expression. Okay. So they're asking what will we get. So let's try to find a relation between these two expressions first. Clearly I can see x4 minus x square minus 1. We have here x4, x square, 1. If you take x square common out of these terms. Let me write it more clearly here. So fx is equal to, take x square common out of x6, what do you get? x4. Then take x square common out of x4, what do you get? x square minus 1 for x square. These terms are left, x5 and minus x. So you get minus x5 minus x. Okay. So now if you're computing fa, for example, fa will become a square into a4 minus a square minus 1 minus a5 minus a. Okay. Now this thing is going to be 0 for all a, b, c, d, because a, b, c, d are the roots of this equation. What does that mean? That when you put a in this expression, you get 0, and similarly for b, c, d. So this entire thing gets cancelled out. What you are left is take minus a common, and then you get 1 plus, let's leave it this way in fact. Okay. So what do you get? Just take minus outside and you get a plus a5. Okay. Now one good thing to notice here is that this equation, let me make the equation more clear for you. Okay. So what is sum of roots here? Sum of roots is 0. Because the x cube term is 0. Okay. That means a plus b plus c plus d is 0. So when you add this for f a plus fb plus fc plus fd, the a plus b plus c plus d terms get cancelled. So what are you left with? Fa plus fb plus fc plus fd comes out as minus a raised to power 5 plus b raised to power 5 plus c raised to power 5 plus d raised to power 5. Okay. Understand this, right? Because a is a, b, c, d, when adding them up will get equal to 0 because sum of roots is 0. And taking the minus outside, you will be left with this. Now the only thing that we have to evaluate is this. And now there is a very interesting catch here. Notice that this equation given here is an even function. If you don't understand even functions, read about it after this video. But let me tell you briefly. Even function means if, let me talk about even functions in a separate window here. So even functions, what does it mean? Okay. So even function means something that is symmetric about the y-axis. Something like this. Or something like this also is possible. This is also symmetric about the y-axis. That means if you put, let's say here let's take another variable. Let's say you put a here and you put minus a here, you get the same answer. That means f of a is equal to f of minus a. Okay. So similarly, if you see the roots of an even function, let's say this time your even function is this, because the even function will also have roots, right? So even function is this. So similarly, it will have to behave similarly on the left hand side also. Okay. So this is symmetric on the left and right side. So if f of a, if a is a root, then minus a also has to be a root of this. Okay, because fa is equal to f minus a, you already saw. Now that if a is the root, then fa equal to 0, then f minus a is also equal to 0, that means minus a is also a root. That means if a is a root, minus a is a root. If 4 is a root, minus 4 is also a root. Similarly, coming back to the question here, this function is an even function here. Okay. So that means that if a is a root, then minus a also has to be a root. Okay, let's look at it here again. So if a is a root, a4 minus a square minus 1 is equal to 0. You can also see that minus a is also root. Why? Because minus a raised to power 4 minus a square minus of minus a square minus 1 is equal to 0. These two equations are the same. So a, when a is plugged into this equation, it gives 0. When minus a is plugged into this equation, it gives 0. Okay, so what we were left with was, this thing was coming equal to minus of a raised to power 5 plus b raised to power 5 plus c raised to power 5 plus d raised to power 5. Now if a is a root, minus a also root. So minus a can be anything from these. So we can take any pairs. Okay, let's say c is minus a and d is minus b. Okay, so what do you get? A raised to power 5 plus b raised to power 5. C raised to power 5 will be minus a raised to power 5 and d will become minus b raised to power 5, and all of this gets cancelled. What you get is 0. This is a very good question. Definitely mark this for revision, and this is a very good concept to know. Okay, slightly easy question based on modulus, basic properties of modulus. We have already discussed modulus in the past videos and other questions. So mod x is equal to x if x is greater equal to 0 and minus x if x is less than 0. Simply, if x is positive, it will remain the same. If x is negative, we'll take the negative of that. So that finally it becomes positive. If x is minus 5, so the answer becomes minus of minus 5, which ultimately becomes plus 5. Okay. So simply, if I say mod a is equal to 2, you can say a is equal to plus or minus 2. Plus 2 or minus 2. Similarly, here what you can say, x square plus x minus 6 is equal to x plus 2, or x square plus x minus 6 is equal to minus of x plus 2. Okay, now try to solve this equation first. The xx get, oh, this was x square minus x, and this is also x square minus x from this. So take the x on the other side, this becomes x square minus 2x minus 4 is equal to 0. This simply becomes x minus, what does it become? This is x square minus 2x minus 8. This is minus 8, minus 6 minus 2 minus 8. And when you solve this, this becomes x minus 4 into x minus 2 is equal to 0. So the two roots here are 4 and 2. In the second case, this is equal to minus x minus 2. Minus x gets cancelled. You are left with x square minus 4 is equal to 0. X square is equal to 4, or x is equal to plus minus 2. That means the roots are 2 and minus 2. They are asking us the product of distinct roots. Okay, this is a very common mistake that most students make. This 2 is coming twice, so we won't multiply it twice. The distinct roots of this equation are, first of all, there are 4 roots for this equation. These 4, 2 and 2 minus 2. Okay, because this was broken into 2 equations and they gave 2 roots each. Okay, so now we are looking for distinct roots. What are the 3 distinct roots of this equation? 3 distinct roots are 4, 2 and minus 2. On multiplying these, you get 8 multiplied by minus 2, minus 16 is the answer in this question. Okay, this is just basically basic logic question, nothing else. There are 9 3-digit numbers with distinct units digits. Okay, there are 9 3-digit numbers, and the units digit, the ones digit for all of them is unique. That means how many digits are there in total? 0 to 9, 10 digits. So if there are 9 3-digit numbers with distinct unit digits, that means we are covering 9 out of these 10 digits in the ones digit. Each number is reversed, and the reversed number is subtracted from the original number. Okay, the results are found to have an average of 0. Okay, so let's see what we get from this subtraction. Okay, if there is a number called xyz, okay, you take a reverse of this number. First of all, what is this number? This is 100x plus 10y plus z. If you take the reverse of this number, what does it become? Zyx. It becomes 100z plus 10y plus x. Subtract both these. What do you get? You get 100 multiplied by x minus z plus z minus x. This can also be written as 99 into x minus z. Okay. So this is your answer. 99 into x minus z is what you get when you subtract the reverse number from the original number. The results are found to have an average of 0. Okay. So when you add this over all the 9 numbers, you get a result of 0. Okay. So 99 into x minus z. For the first number, let's say it had the digits x1 and z1. Second number had x2 minus z2. Average is 0. That means the sum of all these results is 0. That means what would be the sum? Taking 99 common, 99 would anyway go because answer is 0. So what you get is x1 plus x2 till x9 minus z1 plus z2 till z9 comes out to be 0. Or you can say that these are equal. Okay. Now you know that the ones digit, which are the z1, z2, z3 till z9, are all unique. Okay. And are we given anything else? If for each number the hundredths digit is no less than its units digit, that means xi is greater or equal to zi. This is the ones digit, this is the hundredths digit. Okay. This is not less than zi. That means it can be equal or it can be greater. Find the average of the hundredths digit of the greatest and least numbers. Okay. So what do we do here? Here we have numbers from 0 to 9. Out of these 10 we have some 9 digits. Okay. Now let's say you have something from let's say you have 0 to 9, exactly 0 to 8. You have, this is 0, this is 1 and this is 8. Okay. What would happen in this case? Because these are greater or equal to, this can be either 0 or 1, or in fact let's start from here, this can be either 8 or 9. And similarly, this can be something greater or equal to 0. Because the sum is equal and these are greater or equal to this thing. So what we'll have to do is that x9 has to be equal to z9. That means in this case, x9 has to be equal to 8. If it becomes 9, then some other thing will have to compensate by being 1 less than the ones digit. Okay, let's say here it becomes 9 for now. Okay, this was 8, this becomes 9. So now on the left hand side you have 1 extra. So some other term will have to compensate by being 1 less, which is not possible because we are given this condition. Okay, so this has to be 8 if these are 0 to 8. Okay, and similarly this has to be 0. But can x1 be 0? Because it is given that there are all 3-digit numbers, so the hundredths digit cannot be 0. Okay, that means all of these digits are ranging from 1 to 9 actually, the ones digit. Okay. And similarly the hundredths digit will also have to range from 1 to 9 being equal to the ones digit. Okay, that means the numbers are of the form 1, y can be anything, and then 2, let's call that 1a1. The first number was 1a1, then 2a2, then 3, 2b2, 3c3, something of these sort. These numbers can be anything, but these are same and going from 1 to 9, 9i9. Okay, so find the average of the hundredths digit of the greatest and least numbers. Greatest will be this number, least will be this number, greatest will be this number. Hundredths digit is 1 and 9, average will be, average of 1 and 5, 1 and 9 will be 5. So these were the solutions for question 19 to question 25 of the mock test 2. I hope you are also solving along with me to extract the maximum benefit out of it. Shortly a link will appear on your screen to take you to part 4 where we discuss the final 9 questions of this mock test 2. Do stick around for those last 9 questions because there are some very interesting questions there with a lot of catches which you might normally miss. So do like the video if you like the solutions, and please do subscribe to the channel and press the notification icon so that you are able to know whenever I am posting videos or I am hosting mocks or quizzes or live classes, so that you are able to tap into that live. All the best, keep learning.